We talked about development camp and teams developing and players developing. Are the Florida Panthers one of those developing teams for you that is ready to take that next step?
Yeah, I think so. And I think every year it's about sometimes you got to experience that defeat in order to win. And I think this is where I categorize the Florida Panthers. I wanted to sting what happened to them against their cross-state rival Tampa Bay Lightning in the playoffs. We waited so long for that matchup, and it was the best first-round matchup of them all. I loved it. Everything was feisty. Everything was guys are running. They can compete, but they got ahead of themselves a little much. They got a little too excited. They weren't disciplined. And this was an issue in that series because the Tampa Bay Lightning's power play went 8 for 20 at 40%. Those are things you have to learn, and the playoff teams, the Stanley Cup winning teams, they learn that. So I'm excited. I think that this is we don't know how Tampa's going to be this year. I mean, they're going to be a top-end team, no doubt about it. But they've lost some gut-shot guys in the lineup. They're not as deep. I personally think that Florida's going to win this division. So this is time for them to take that next step. The talking's out. They got all the roster there. Sam Bennett on a full year. Losing him in the playoffs hurt.
Yes.
And discipline was a big thing for them, and I'm looking forward to see how they respond.
So you have them winning the division. Mike Kelly's taken it a step further. We did our analytics show a couple of weeks ago. He has them winning the Stanley Cup this year. Would you be surprised?
Surprise, yeah.
Yeah.
But they're a team. They've got the talent.
Yeah.
And when you look and we talk about Spencer Knight and Sergei Bobrovsky, I mean,
that's a tandem.
Whoever is playing is going to be playing well. If one of them's not, then the other guy's. You're not going to see both guys struggling. I don't believe that. I mean, both are pros through and through. Sergei Bobrovsky, I think, is going to get back to some of his old form. And Spencer Knight, he's shown that he has a really high ceiling. So this team, they don't have any weaknesses. It's about just getting it done and executing at the right time.
All right, give me another team that you think is ready to take that next step.
Oh, man, that's tough. Another team, I'm going to say the L.A. Kings. I'm going to say the L.A. Kings because this is a team that we've talked about the pipelines of some of these rosters, right? We saw the New York Rangers. They were ahead of the curve in kind of their rebuild, I guess you can say. And this is one that I'm really excited about. When you look here and you've got, I like the positions. Pay attention to the positions there because we know how important centermen are. We know how important D-men are. You've got Byfield, Turcotte, center. You've got Clark and Faber, both defensemen. Arthur Kaliev was arguably in 2019, they were saying he might be the best natural goal scorer in the entire draft. And Mikey Anderson's one that's not on the board here. Young defenseman, averaged 21-11 in ice time, so they have a lot of pieces in place. They're in the right division as well. I think this Kings team, and the way I saw Anze Kopitar play last year, the way that Dustin Brown played, why can't they make the playoffs? You know what I mean? When I look at this division, I think this team could be right in the hunt, and I expect them to. So now it's time for them to take that next step. Are they a playoff or shoo-in? No. Are they a contender to win the cup? No. But it's time now that we start seeing progress. I think we're going to see it with the Kings.
It's a good mix of that veteran leadership, like you mentioned, the Kopitars, the Dowdies that still feel and have proven they have a lot left in the tank, and then incorporating some of these young prospects and stuff. Jonathan Quick, you still good with him between the pipes here going forward?
Well, you've got Cal Peterson. You've got this is all growing this group together. I just think that this is a team that's got a really nice blend because they've got veteran guys and they've got youthful guys, and they put that all together. They can kind of groom this group in this pipeline to be really good for years to come.
Like you said, certainly in the right division out of the Pacific, right for the taking. Everybody after Vegas, it seems like. From teams taking the next step forward to players. How about a guy who made a big leap as far as going to a new team? Seth Jones in Chicago. What do you expect for him on the back end?
I'm expecting Seth Jones. He carried a ton of responsibilities already in his career. I feel like I don't want to say plateaued because he's still a great defenseman, but I think he's got another level. And I think he's going to find that level in Chicago. But I think stylistically, the way under John Tortorella, they played to the way their team was built, and that was necessary. Chicago was built differently. They've got a little more go in their game, right? They've got a little more. He might have a little more freedom offensively in his game. He's certainly going to have to lead in ice time, but I also look for him to lead inside that locker room just as a veteran player. He's ready to take that next step, and look at those great guys there up front even with Taves and Kane, and I mean, that's an exciting group. He's going to be back there. clearing out the front of the net for Marc-Andre Fleury. I'm expecting big things from Seth Jones, and I'm expecting him to elevate his career one more step so we can start getting him in that Norris talk every season.
All right, so with the addition of guys like Seth Jones, Marc-Andre Fleury, and a lot of those core guys still back in Taves, we'll see him again this year. Kane, DeBrincat, he's a proven goal scorer. What do you make of Chicago right now?
I like Chicago. I think that Chicago has a lot of pieces. I think they rely on their special teams or their power play, their 5-on-5 play. If they can get that, and look what they've got. They've got Kubalik. They've got DeBrincat. They've got some other pieces in here that can provide some offense. And most importantly, getting their captain hopefully back in here and having a full season of Jonathan Taves. So I think he'll be huge for this squad.
Tough division, though. Playoff team?
They'll push. They're going to be right there. Yeah. They're going to be right there. It's going to be a good division, but I have a lot of question marks in that division. Yeah. There's a lot of what ifs. They're heading in the right direction. That's all that matters.
And you talking about a guy playing with a chip on his shoulder, Marc-Andre Fleury, your former teammate. Excited
Can't wait to watch that.
What he can do. Another player taking a step forward development-wise. Speaking of goalies, you have a netminder in Philly, Carter Hart.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Carter Hart. I'm excited to see what he brings because we saw when he is good and he provides that backbone to this Flyers team. This Flyers team, they could win that division. I mean, when they get some solid goaltending and the pieces that they have and the ability that they have to score goals, I think they have a lot of potential. And more importantly, I think this guy he's a hell of a goaltender. He had an off year. He had a really tough year. And I'm excited to see how he responds. I believe that this kid is an absolute star in the making, and I think he'll find his way out of this. And if he does, look out for this Flyers team because I think that we know about the veteran players that they have there, and now they made some moves here with Voracek going to Columbus and getting Cam Atkinson. They're trying to spice things up, and if they can get that goaltending back where it was 2 years ago, look out for the Flyers.
And we saw some of those numbers in a down year, certainly for Carter Hart, but how much of that was maybe the defensive structure playing in front of him and some of those additions of a Rasmus Ristolainen, a Ryan Ellis, just kind of, I don't know, strengthening that back end, playing in front of a youngster like Carter Hart.
Yeah, having those ads is something that's really big, and you got to give a lot of credit to Chuck Fletcher and company for going out and doing these things to provide a little bit of insulation for him. Every goalie needs insulation. Marty Brodeur needed good defensemen in front of him. You can't just throw a goalie in the net and just expect him to stop everything. So I think this is an area where, okay, we're going to double down. We're going to put some more assets in front of this goaltender because we believe in the kid. And the one thing he has shown is there's a high ceiling on Carter Hart. And I think he's going to get back to that. And, they've made the right moves to help accelerate him into that.
All right, we accelerated so fast through this segment. We have a little bit of time, so our producer, Jay Roy, wants to put you on the hot seat right now. Okay. We're going to throw up the Metro Division. Give me the 4 playoff teams here.
Oh, yeah,
hey, you can just drag your feet until we run out of time.
Am I going in order or just 4 playoff teams?
Yeah, you can just name 4.
I'm just going to name 4 teams.
Yeah, you don't have to.
I think there's too much. The Hurricanes, I think, are a 2-win. That's 1. The Islanders are 2.
2.
Ooh. Capitals are 3.
Capitals 3. Okay, so it's between
what? It's going to be between
New York and Philly.
Yeah, it's going to be between Pittsburgh, New York, and Philly. I'm going to say the New York Rangers.
Okay.
I'm going to say the Penguins are going to miss the playoffs this year.
Is it because of the start? Just without Crosby, Malkin, and we don't know that timetable?
Yeah, there's uncertainty there.
Is it just as a whole, they just kind of lost that edge.
There's that.
Teams are catching up.
I think there's going to be a cloud over this Evgeny Malkin contract, Chris Letang contract going into their last season each. I don't want to make it. It's not about distractions. No. I think losing potentially Crosby and Malkin to start the season, this division is going to be way too tight. I don't know. If they don't get out of the gates well, it's going to be chasing all season long.
See, lesson learned. Let's not go so fast through a segment. I have to put you on the hot seat and make those picks.